Hello everyone, Ian here at ARRI's Creative Space in Burbank, California. I'm here with Snehal Patel, and we are looking at the much anticipated Alexa Mini. And what we're going to do today is Snehal is going to give us a little tour of the camera, because as you have probably seen, the essence of the Mini is its modular design. We can really make this camera into all types of different builds, and Snehal has all the goodies from ARRI to show us all the different builds. So why don't you give us a rundown of what we're going to look at today?
Why, thanks a lot, Ian, and welcome to the Creative Space. What we're going to do today is build up the Mini in different configurations. Here we have it in a minimalist setup where we can actually attach a monitor to this system and go ahead and run with it with a battery pack, maybe on a belt or something like that. But what we're going to do is show you how we can set it up for a Movi type of rig, you know, a gimbal system, or a drone, a helicopter system, if you want to use that, or if you want to use the camera in a lightweight setup with the option to go handheld. We're going to show you that, and then the third way we're going to dress up the camera is by putting a large lens on it and then doing a full studio setup, which you can do with 19 or 15 millimeter studio rod standard.
Why don't we break it down to its most fundamental and then start from there?
Sure, absolutely. You know, what I have right here is the handle, CCH2, the camera center handle number 2, screwed in right into the body of the Mini, and you'll see that the camera is symmetrical on the top and on the bottom. If I take off this, these screws with the number 3 Allen, you'll be able to see the bracket that I'm screwing into, and basically everything goes into that bracket because that is attached to the frame of the camera, and that is what's protecting the sensor and holding everything in place. We're going to start by putting the MAP1 Mini Adapter Plate 1 on the top and the bottom of the camera. There you go. You can flip it upside down, and you see that the camera is symmetrical on the top and the bottom, which is really nice because that means it doesn't matter where you put the bracketry. And then here, these are the side brackets. So these are called the MSB1s, and this is the Mini side bracket. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it like this so that the rosettes are at the bottom, just in case we need to use them. Now this is a prototype item, and this is not quite production yet, but we showed this off at NAB. It's a side mount bracket for a battery plate. And this is really useful, I think, for, you know, a gimbal rig, because it allows you to put a battery which is gives you a fairly decent run time right next to the camera body.
I also like the fact that you have this plate positioned so that the D-tap is at the back, so it allows us to do a transmitter, any other accessories that we need to build in order to do the gimbal.
Correct. And we're going to start seeing new battery plates coming out that will have plugs that go directly into the Mini camera, for example. So that's there, and what's really nice about this is I could still, if I wanted to, add this as well to the side.
Nice.
And again, I'll put the rosettes on the bottom, just in case we need to use them. But this gives us a lot of different options.
So I have the Alexa Mini set up on my N15. I have everything powered up, and as you can see, I can go ahead and start manipulating my shot, and everything's nice and steady. One of the really nice features of the interface of the Alexa Mini with the M15 and the Transvideo Starlite monitor is that we have interface for menus. So Snehal was explaining that through the HDSDI, we now have menu control.
Correct, and it's over the HDSDI port itself. So the one cable that's running into the camera that is going to be drawing the signal will also be a way for the Starlite monitor, at least the blue versions that we'll be selling through ARRI, to have a touchscreen menu that will do the basic controls of the camera. So this adds yet another way for the camera to be controlled remotely, you know, that doesn't require an EVF or something attached directly onto the camera body.
Excellent. We're going to move on to the handheld configurations with the Alexa Mini. We have taken the Mini Adapter Plate 1 off the bottom. We've kept it on the top, and now Snehal is going to show us the Mini Adapter Plate 2.
So in this case, I'm just going to use an MAP2 on the bottom. So a Mini Adapter Plate 2, using, once again, number 3 Allen. I'm going to put it into the same brackets that we used for the MAP1, so the hole patterns are exactly the same. And this allows us to now have the correct height to have lightweight rods, which is really important because, of course, all our mini map boxes, mini follow focus, follow that standard. And you want to be able to be at the correct height always. So here we can put in the rods.
And another really nice little side of the map too is that we also have a place for a tape measure. So if we're doing critical focus, we always run a tape off of that.
That's correct. And what we're going to do here is, we give you the option in our Pro sets of two different types of handles. This was the handle that was originally on the M camera, and this is what we were using for our cage system for our mini accessories. And so this is called the cage top handle. And I like the cage top handle a lot because it just has 1/3/8 mounting point that you use a number 5 Allen with. And then you can put it anywhere on the camera, the side of the camera, the top, the bottom. You never know what kind of configuration you're gonna need. In this case, since I'm doing a very simple handheld setup, I'm just gonna put it here at the top along with the RMB3, which is the rod mounting bracket. And this rod mounting bracket has a 19 standard. So this holds a 19mm rod, but it also comes with an insert that holds 15mm rods. So if I wanted to, I could put it like this and have one iris rod for my lens motor or something like that. Or I can use this, in this case, to actually hold the viewfinder. So I'm gonna put this bracket right here. This viewfinder bracket will go right into the rod mounting bracket over here. And this is the same viewfinder bracket you've seen before on the Amira camera. And it's really simple to use, like so. And it has the same type of wedge insert that you've seen on the Amira and the Alexa as well. So this gives you a nice small setup. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the viewfinder right now and put it in here to show you how this can go in. Nice and tight, there you go. And the nice thing is I can move it over to kind of balance it out. And in the back over here, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the viewfinder cable and get it kind of out of the way. And now what I can do is I can add a battery plate. So this also comes in the Pro set. And what this allows you to do is offset the battery plate. You can move it out of the way so that it doesn't hit the CFast card slot, or you can move it away from the fans. In this case, I'm going to offset to kind of set off the weight of the viewfinder, which is on the other side. So I just put the battery plate over here and tighten it. It's really easy to put onto lightweight rods. And now I can just add battery to the back. And you can see that this is starting to become a very nice, small handheld setup. I'll put a lens on here. In this case, I'm going to use a ultra prime. Keep it really nice and simple. And this is your little lightweight handheld setup for the Mini. So now that we've set the camera up for a small handheld setup, I might want to change lenses and set it up for a handheld configuration. And it's not much different from what we've done here. So I'll go ahead and take this lens off first. And what I can do now is I can take off this viewfinder and just keep it aside for just a second. And I'm going to actually switch up the way that I'm mounting the viewfinder at the top. I'm going to use a slightly more hardier setup, because if I want to be pressing my eye up against the viewfinder, I really want it to stay in place. So I have another option for how I can set up the top. I'm going to take off the rod mounting bracket, which was holding the viewfinder bracket in place. I'm going to take off this cage top handle, CTH1, and I'm actually going to remove these this MAP1 that's at the very top of the camera, and instead replace it with an MAP2. And I've told you before that the MAP1s and MAP2 are completely interchangeable at the top and the bottom. And that is the case with the MAP2s as well, because you can have rods out the top or the bottom of the camera, and they will be at the correct rod standard height, because the camera, once again, is symmetrical and doesn't make any difference where you put the plates. So this affords you a lot of compatibility in your rig. I'm going to use, again, the original M handle at the top over here. And the nice thing is you have multiple mounting points, so I can put it further back. But in this case, I know that I'm going to be using a larger lens, so I can kind of configure it for how I'll be able to carry it from the center of the gravity of the rig when I'm finished with it. And I'm also going to put side brackets on the camera So these same side brackets that we were using with the MAP1s also fit the MAP2. And we could use one side or two sides, it doesn't really matter. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and use both sides. Oops. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use this bracket, which is slightly different for the viewfinder than the rod mounting bracket. This is basically what we find on the UAP2 set on the Amira as well. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this into place, and I'm going to put the same viewfinder bracket over here. And now I can put the viewfinder on, and some it's a little bit heavier than what we had before. So, but for handheld setups, I think it's really important to have a viewfinder that's securely in place, and this is what this is doing for us. In this case, we're going to go ahead and use a lightweight zoom lens instead of a prime lens. So I'm going to go ahead and put this Allura 15.5 to 45 right here onto the camera rig and lock it into place. You can see that our rig is getting a little bit longer now. And what we can add is a hand grip set. So we have this hand grip set, and this is basically the LBS hand grip set, lightweight bracket support hand grip set. So here's the LBS bracket. We're going to go ahead and put that bracket because we have the correct lightweight support standard here. So we can put the hand grips there. And then the last addition that we have is right over here, and this is the shoulder pad CSP1. So this is a shoulder pad setup that will work. They'll clip right onto lightweight rods, and also has its own little dovetail to allow you some adjustment once you've actually attached it to the rig. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and find what I think is going to be the center of gravity around the camera body. So Ian, why don't you go ahead and put this on your shoulder?
All right.
And tell me what you think. Is that comfortable?
That is, the weight of this camera is just amazing. Very nicely balanced.
I've got the LMB25 matte box on there. And there you go. So this is how, if you want to turn around and show the folks at home what it would look like on your shoulder, you can see that the shoulder pad can be adjusted. So if I wanted to, I could kind of move it forward or back just a little bit to kind of adjust it into place and to get this rig really comfortable for Ian. And it seems like the hand grips are working for you. Now you can get these hand grips with the start-stop button, and you can configure it with one side or two sides, whatever you like. Some people like to configure it with one side, and I'm going to take this off and you can grab the lens. This is another option that you can focus with your hand, or I can put a mini follow focus, for example, onto it as well, onto the rods, and then you could focus with this, but it's all up to you on how you want to use it. Now we're going to reconfigure the camera to go from this lightweight handheld type of setup to a studio bridge plate BP8 or BP9 type of setup, where you can use 15mm or 19mm studio rods on a large lens and give it lens support with a large matte box and follow focus. So all we really have to do to go to bridge plate is add this little piece here called the BPA4, Bridge Plate Adapter 4. By adding this one piece, what you're doing is you're bringing the rig to the correct height for 19 or 15 studio. So we just screw this in to the top over here.
I'll hold the camera.
Thank you, Ian. Screw this in tightly. And you can see that the hole patterns on the bottom still retain the center mount holes, just in case you want to go directly with this plate onto a tripod. But the main important holes here are the offset holes. Now this is for all of our bridge plates. In this case, we're going to put the 15mm bridge plate on here, and it should be offset like it is. Remember, 19mm will be centered on the rig and 15 will be offset, favoring the right side of the rig. If you turn this over, you can see that we've built it up already to be friendly for studio operations. So let's go ahead and put this on the tripod and get started with the accessories.
We're going to go ahead and put it onto our plate here, and now we can start building it out into our studio rig.
Yep, I'm using 15mm rods. These are steel rods that are going into the BP9. And then we're going to drop in lens support in the front and get ready for the big lens. And I'm just going to move this out of the way so that you guys can see it a lot clearer. So there you go.
Okay. There, sir.
Thank you.
good?
Good.
Okay.
I'm going to add the SMB1 Studio Map Box 6x6. This is actually a tilting map box with a tilting module that allows the map box to tilt forward and back to get rid of reflections caused by filtration. And our final addition is the FF5 Cine. The FF5 Cine is a studio follow focus, and the nice thing about the FF5 is that it's svelte. It gets under large lenses very easily. It's very simple to go from lightweight configuration to studio. In this case, we're going to studio 15mm, so I'll be able to slip this under the lens and set the follow focus correctly right onto the rods. I'll add a right side knob on the other side.
That's going to wrap out our tour of the Alexa Mini and its incredible versatility for gimbal, handheld, and for studio work. Snehal, thanks so much for giving us this tour. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.